And don't even get me started on his nonsense about renaming military bases. At that same town hall, Trump stood there, revving up the crowd, talking about how he's going to rename Fort Liberty back to Fort Bragg. The crowd ate it up like it was some kind of victory for freedom. But here's the thing. This isn't about heritage or military pride. This is about pandering to a group of people who feel like the right to be their worst versions of themselves is under threat. Trump isn't protecting anyone's freedom. He's just tapping into their nostalgia for a time when being openly hateful, bigoted, and stuck in the past was acceptable. And he's wrapping it up in the guise of military honor and tradition. The truth is, changing the name back to Bragg isn't about honoring soldiers or history. It's about feeding the delusion that somehow, by keeping the name of a Confederate general, they're standing up against some liberal boogeyman who's infringing on their freedoms. And what freedoms are those, exactly? The freedom to glorify people who fought against the United States? The freedom to cling to a past that should have been left behind centuries ago? The freedom to be the worst possible version of yourself, blaming others for your own failures and frustrations? That's the twisted message Trump's pushing. He's not encouraging these people to rise up, to be better, to improve their lives or their country. He's feeding them lies that reinforce their worst instincts, their anger, their fear, their hatred of anyone who doesn't look or think like them. And somehow they believe he's their savior, that he's the guy who's going to lead them to some twisted version of greatness, when all he's doing is dragging them and the country further into the gutter. These are the same people who watched him take a Purple Heart, not because he earned it, but because he manipulated a veteran into thinking he deserved it. And they cheer. They cheer like this man has any idea what sacrifice means. They cheer for a guy who has spent his life disrespecting veterans, trashing their service, and selling them out whenever it's convenient for him. And now they're cheering for the idea of renaming military bases after Confederate generals, people who fought to keep slavery alive. The cognitive dissonance is staggering. Trump's entire shtick is about rewriting history to fit his narrative. He's not fighting for America. He's fighting for the warped versions of it that lives in his head and in the heads of his followers. A version where facts don't